This article is the one that I shared on Twitter, and it manages to highlight my key problem with demanding certain characters with certain identities to be in fiction. So you want more women, people of color, or queer characters in fiction? Do you want them to be put side by side with the straight white cis men that seems to dominate almost every entertainment medium in existence? Don't worry, progressives, all your demands will be met, because right now we're gonna have all of these superhero stories with all of these oppressed minorities. There's only one tiny little problem.
What do Avengers, Black Panther, and Wonder Woman have in common? The abuse of women.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Since you asked for these people to be put on fiction, all of them now have to suffer the consequences. And by consequences, I mean confronted with conflicts that can potentially be life-threatening. Thankfully, my new patrons are certainly not life-threatening. Huge thanks to Clone Loli, Vuster, and Talon. You are fantastic. The article starts off with the writer talking about how all of the films mentioned before, like Black Panther, Avengers, and Wonder Woman, all make tons and tons of money. The problem that those films have is the consistent abuse of women. Oh no! Superhero films cause conflicts that harm our heroes? What a horrible world that we live in!
In the fantasy realms of comics and film, superheroes capture our imagination and embody our notion of what it means to be good. Yet time after time, female characters have been the subject of intimate partner and family violence within the DC Comics and Marvel worlds.
Writer, one of the ways for us to be good is to, well, fight our enemies. We need to rebel against them. We need to defend innocent people from being harmed by our enemies. All of these films did exactly that, especially Wonder Woman, which, if you missed it, the film took place in the World War, so there will definitely be conflicts and fighting ahead. Writer, you are complaining that superhero films have fighting and women are in those fighting getting hurt and abused. It's like complaining that there are breads in a sandwich.
Wonder Woman was a blockbuster extraordinaire that girls and women, including me, had been waiting for their entire lives, but underneath the badass costume and amazing stunts, Diana Prince is just like too many women. Globally, 1 in 3 women have experienced physical, sexual, or psychological violence in the course of their everyday lives, most often at the hands of a male partner or family member.
Now this is pretty unhealthy, writer. You don't just associate something that happens in fiction with something that happens in the real world, all in the snap of a finger. Of course Wonder Woman is going to experience abuse from men. What makes her stronger is her willingness to overcome them. That's what makes good stories. That is, unless you want a film where Wonder Woman merely sits on her ass and not be harmed. Is your ideal superhero story a hero that sits on their asses and do nothing?
In the film's epic battle, Wonder Woman faces off against her nemesis and half-brother Ares, mimicking the violence experienced by women at the hands of family members. According to UNFPA, at least 5,000 women die per year as a result of honor killings, and nearly
Whoa! Slow down! Slow down with that, champ! That is one hell of a stretch! That is insane. That is one of the craziest leap of logic that I have seen in a while. I seriously think that you need to consult a psychiatrist if you looked at Wonder Woman fighting Ares and thought, yep, this reminds me of honor killings and female genital mutilation.
Like the millions of women who came forward during the #MeToo movement, Wonder Woman is also subject to sexual harassment. Verbal abuse is cloaked off as humor. Nearly every male character in the film has some commentary on Diana's physical appearance on her mere presence.
You mean like this?
Here's a little thief now. We don't need your kind around here.
I'm both frightened and aroused.
Yes, that is supposed to be humorous. How is that verbal abuse? You're being too general in that paragraph, so let's be specific. Find me one scene that is verbal abuse that is cloaked as humor. And even if that's not supposed to be humorous, the film takes place in World War I, where women aren't as accepted as men in more serious roles. And even if it doesn't take place in the World War, does Wonder Woman really need you to defend her from it? This is a really weird and disjointed complaint. So far, your complaint on this is that these events happen to these characters, and they too also happen in the real world. Are you saying that these events shouldn't happen in the film because it gives trauma to those who experience it in the real world? I don't know what you're trying to say here, and it seems like your complaints would only lead me to believe that an ideal superhero film is where they just sit on their ass.
Despite being hailed for its feminism, gender-based violence pervades Wonder Woman, sending a strikingly sexist message. This is the treatment that even the most wonderful of women deserve.
I'm sorry, what?
Despite being hailed for its feminism, gender-based violence pervades Wonder Woman, sending a strikingly sexist message. This is the treatment that even the most wonderful of women deserve.
Huh? Wait, what? Are we watching the same film? Did the film actually say or imply that abusing women is perfectly okay? Did the film actually say or imply that women deserve to be abused? I didn't catch that at any point in the film. I think this is just your weird, deluded interpretation of a completely innocent superhero film that does nothing but entertain people. How the hell can you conjure that interpretation out of this film? Seriously, writer, I legitimately think you are delusional and paranoid. Please, for the love of God, seek the assistance of a psychiatrist. This is one of the most bizarre take in Wonder Woman that I've seen since Wonder Woman's hairy armpits. I really wish I was kidding in that one.
Black Panther was similarly widely anticipated and unique in its intersectionality. Positive images of black women are admittedly far too rare. Wakandan women are portrayed as warriors, fierce, intelligent, and beautiful.
Okay, so we have Black Panther, a film with black people as its main cast. What is the writer's problem with the film? Well, the African American women gets ignored. I really wish I was kidding.
Yet there's only one African American female character in the film, and as scholar Jonathan Gales pointed out, few people can name her. She is Linda, the girlfriend of Killmonger, who is murdered by him in an act of unfettered violence. Even the Afrocentric vision of Black Panther, where Wakandan women are treated with respect, this African American woman is discarded.
Maybe because she isn't an important character. So not only you're demanding superhero stories where they just sit on their asses and never suffer any sort of conflict, but you are also demanding superhero stories where the most minor characters have an important role merely on the basis of their ethnicity.
Do you have any books written by black people?
Some might say that these films are fantasy, or simply a reflection of reality, and that's true, but particularly in the superhero genre, they also represent the world as we hope it would be, one where good triumphs over evil.
And one of the ways for good to triumph over evil, writer, is if the superheroes actually face the conflicts head on and get their ass kicked.
The little girls and boys looking for role models in these stories have them, and they include troublesome narratives of family and partner abuse. They set the stage for what girls and women can expect from parents, siblings, and partners. They also demonstrate the boys what being a heroic man looks like and how to treat women, including the perpetration of violence against them.
Oh, I see. So you're complaining about those films having women being abused so that you can shield these children from the harsh reality that not only parents, siblings, and partners can be abusive, but men in general can also be abusive to women. Wait, what?
Nearly 40% of rapes occur among college-age women, who along with adolescents make up a large target audience for superhero flicks.
Yeah, and how are you gonna get that message across if you want superhero stories to not have any sort of conflict that would put women in danger? This is my biggest problem with these ideologues. Their goals are in contradictory with their methods. So you want to tell people about the sufferings that women face, but you do it by demanding fiction to not have stories where women are suffering?
What is the message that when, after sharing a battle victory and romantic dance, Steve Trevor walks Diana Prince to her room on the night? As he starts to close the door, Diana makes eye contact. Assuming her consent, Steve enters the room, closing the door behind him. Viewers assume that a sexual encounter comes next, but there is no explicit consent. The idea that consent is at best ignored, and at worst, this is a key opportunity to model how boys and men can engage in stopping forced sex.
In short, the writer doesn't understand how body language works and is disappointed that the film doesn't use this opportunity to shield their agenda.
If Diana had invited Steve to her room, the message should have been about female sexual pleasure and power. Instead, her power is taken from her. Rather than smashing the patriarchy, these films embed the patriarchal power even more deeply in the minds of young viewers.
Writer, it's clear to me that your inability to read body language has translated pretty well in a written format.
I am a lifelong and unabashed Wonder Woman fan. I am not a filmmaker, media critic, or a Marvel superfan, but I have seen enough superhero movies to be a realist. I know that these are action films and there will be violence. I just never expected that so many films, including those heralded for girl power, would include so many kinds of abuse against women, especially at the hands of loved ones.
So your issue is that you just don't expect that many? I don't believe you, writer. I think the issue here is that you are completely delusional, makes incredibly bizarre logical leaps, and is in dire need of a psychiatrist. Seriously, who the hell wrote this garbage? Someone who has a PhD, who doesn't understand body language, who doesn't understand how fiction works, who wants children to be shielded from the harsh realities of life. I suppose being a PhD on something doesn't really mean that you're good at everything.
Here, take the wheel.
No, I don't know how to fly one of these.
You're a scientist. Use one of your PhDs.
None of them are for flying alien spaceships!